I should move.
Okay, thank God you're all still here. I think I pressed leave meeting. So I believe we're recording, and I was saying there's not so many of us. I was thinking we could all mute, but I don't think we need to. Just if you find yourself talking over somebody else, we'll take turns, try to be respectful of each other's time on the floor, so to speak. So Denis is back with us. And Denis, for those of you who don't know him, is from Weekend Publisher. He's an author, a marketing coach, and he's helped lots of authors. He also has a YouTube channel that I find very helpful that hopefully he'll connect us with after. But for anyone who has any marketing related questions, and maybe Denis, you can let us know specifically things that you would like to take questions about, because I know you have your special skills. I should say specialized, it sounds a little more special, but you have your unique skill sets that you've used for, I have no idea how many authors actually, but maybe you can let us know a little bit about what you do before we give the floor to everyone else.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Jess, for having me here. I am a full-time marketing coach. This is my full-time gig. This is all I do. Of course, I write books, but I have less and less time to do that as the weeks pass. In terms of questions, I'm open for anything. I'm 100% an open book. I could tell you the more specific the question is, the better the answer you're going to get. So in terms of like, how do I market a book? Just more specific than that, because I could talk about that just for 2 hours straight. I'll just go on for 2 hours straight versus something very, very specific in terms of, I'm not saying this has to be a question, but what type of cost per click should I expect on Amazon ads or something like that? Something like more specific. Doesn't have to be that, but somewhere in the middle would be good. In terms of my background, just to be like, so I'm not like some guy here with crazy hair drinking beer out of a coffee mug. I have so yeah, I've published my first book in 2017. I started Weekend Publisher in 2019, and since then I've worked with New York Times bestsellers and authors with very large budgets, up to $10,000-$12,000 a month, doing ads, and like I said, this is my full-time gig. This is all I do, is marketing coaching. I do primarily one-on-one, although I've done group in the past. My specialty or my approach is more on the numbers side. So I approach it as a business. So just that's a little bit about me. So maybe Jess can maybe find the order or take the questions. I don't know. I don't want, not that I expect, 10 people to jump on, ask me questions at the same time, but, just to keep it in order.
Well, if anyone wants to raise their hand, their proverbial hand or their actual hand, Judy, let's start with you.
How important are reader magnets?
Yeah, Judy. So first of all, I want to sympathize with you. And I want to tell you that there are a lot of good people in this industry, a lot of good people. And I've met, not everybody, but I've met a lot of people. I'm part of like a lot of groups and networking groups and stuff. I just want to tell you that it's absolutely not personal. He has done that to me as well. And you are certainly not the first person. So okay. I just want to point that out. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, he is. His reputation is as such. So don't worry about that. How important are reader magnets? So I'm going to ask a lot of questions back to you guys because I like to keep it engaging as opposed to, I'm doing a Q&A. I'm not doing a presentation. I've done presentations before. Fall flat. It was dull. It was just boring. and it takes me 2 hours to do up the presentation, so it's just a waste of time. So Judy, what would, and I don't mean to pick on you, but I guess Kimber Gray asked a reader magnet. So in the industry, and I say internet marketing, it's also known as a lead magnet. So it magnetizes people to you to sign up. The primary purpose is to sign up to your list, your email list. Okay, that's what the reader magnet is for. So in internet marketing, it's known as lead magnet. So if I was doing something like, I saw some chats come up with some pain or something like how to relieve lower back pain or something like that, I would say 8 tips for relieving lower back pain. Download this free report. And all you have to do is submit your email address. And from that point, I would send you an automated email campaign to incentivize you to purchase something. So reader magnet is, we just changed the word lead to reader for the book industry. So it's to incentivize someone. It's a cookie to incentivize someone to join your mailer list or your email list. Okay. Now, a reader magnet. Now, Judy, I'll get to your question, but I just want to make sure everyone's sort of on the same page in terms of reader magnet. Now, a reader magnet, what a lot of people do was, and this worked a lot better in like 20 years ago, was sign up to my mailing list. Okay. Like that's the incentive. That's the cookie, right? In terms of cookies, that is like an oatmeal cookie, like no raisins, no chocolate chips. Like it is boring. Nobody wants to do it. It might have worked 20 years ago when like you got mail was a cool thing, but now people need to, even though it's free, just an email address, they need to be incentivized to join up to a mailer list, to your email list. So I want to propose so in terms of a reader magnet, some things that you can offer is, now a better cookie. What's a better cookie? Just a slightly better cookie than like a straight up oatmeal. Anybody? What's a better cookie than oatmeal?
Chocolate chip.
A chocolate chip. Yeah. So a chocolate chip cookie would be like, sign up to find out when I release book 2. Okay. So that would be a better incentive. Now, what would be like the best cookie you've ever had?
Something free, joining something exclusive, like a community like this, something that is better than what everyone else is offering.
Jess, I'm staying on the cookie theme here, okay?
A triple chocolate cookie. You know, the dark milk and white chocolate chunks all in one cookie.
Yeah. So for me, chocolate chip. Yeah. So that would be Jess's favorite cookie. Me, it'd be like a white macadamia nut, like double with ice cream in between. So anyways, enough about the cookies. A real true incentive, like a reader magnet, is a story. So when I launched my first book in 2017, it was a World War II historical fiction, and my incentive, which I don't recommend anyone do this. So it was a World War II historical fiction. I think I might have mentioned that, but I was giving away an authentic World War II helmet, a British helmet. So I was doing a giveaway on Facebook saying, oh, you can win this helmet. And you can also, so you get points, and if you get other people to join up, then you would get extra points. And if you bought the book, you would get extra points. If you left a review, you get, I don't think I did the review thing because that's incentivizing review. So I didn't do that. Okay. But what we really want to do, especially if we're readers that we're talking about and we want to attract readers, we don't want to give away a helmet, because what type of audience is that? Collectors, and maybe there's be some readers in there. So a real reader magnet, a strong reader magnet, that triple chocolate, whatever, white macadamia nut, would be something that the reader would be interested in. So a character side story, a prequel. You can get very creative here. If you write nonfiction, you can get super, super creative in terms of checklists videos and all that type of thing. But fiction, you could do even artwork, but extended epilogue and character side stories, like 1,000 or 2,000 word incentive for them to join your mailing list. It works best in my experience. Now, to propose a question, and Judy, you might be the first one to answer this, but anyone else is welcome to answer this, is what is the benefit of having an email list?
So you can keep in
You
touch.
own it.
Yeah.
You own your audience.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you own your audience. So, in terms of email list versus social media, your reach is much, much better with social media, with email than with social media. And of course, you own it, right? If you use MailerLite or whatever, you can just download that, export it to another one, right? So you completely own it. But really, what is so we own the list, but what do we do with the list? What's the point of having the list other than when we own it?
I would build anticipation for the next book coming out. What kind of strategies do you use to keep people opening the email? Because and this is coming from somebody, I'm subscribed to multiple emails. I do not open my email very much because, quite frankly, I get so much spam mail and I hate email. My work email gets open, but that's on a completely different computer. But how do you incentivize somebody to open up the email after email after email?
Desiree, what emails do you open up besides work emails?
Bills.
Besides bills.
Learning me about bills. It depends on my interests at the time, because my interests shift quite a bit. So it's like, 1 week I'm reading this stuff about how to come up with a theme, versus next week I'm reading something tech related about programming something to do something, because that's part of my job. So it depends on where my email, where my focus is at the time. So what kind of things would you do to keep dragging them back into your email? I mean, right off the top of my head, I have an idea of what I would do. Because in my mind, if I'm going to use the email and keep them opening it and use it effectively, especially like social media, maybe make a contest. They have to go find this on this media, this social media account, that kind of thing. Say something there, like that post, come back and find another clue and maybe use it as clues every week. And then, once a month, give away something.
Yeah, with love. I asked for an answer and I got a question. I'm just kidding. No, it's all good. I'll get to that question in just a second.
I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering. What's the payback? Is there any statistics being done on the number of people in an email list? How often they open it? How many of those would be opened? The ones that open it, how many actually respond to what you're trying to respond to? I know when you hit a website to go say to see an ad, I think 6% of the people that open it will actually be on there for maybe 5 or 6 seconds at the maximum. Then they'll flip away again. And of that 6%, maybe about 6% will actually read the ad because they're interested in that, something from Amazon or whatever. I'm just wondering, the email is being in marketing. Is there any kind of measurement that shows you the effectiveness of the number of people you put into this email, the energy you're expending on making your email list bigger, to the energy that comes back to make your product sell?
Right. So what I'm getting at is, do we need to create an email list or not?
Right.
Okay. So I'm looking at a bigger picture type of thing.
Okay.
So as a default, I would say yes. However, If you look at every single marketing website, they say create a list, create a list, create a list. Now, it's not always the right time for everybody, because that becomes the question, how do you keep that list engaged? So the main purpose of that list, and again, I'm looking at it from a purely business point of view, the main purpose of that list is to increase your average value per reader. Okay. So say we have one book. Okay, it is priced for $2.99. We sell that one book. We sell that one book. Our average value per reader is only $2. But if we capture that email address and we nurture them and we let them know of other books that are that we're launching, that cost per new reader has already been absorbed with that first book. Okay, to get the reader into that second book is $0. Okay, so it's all about, so the big question is, how do you keep them engaged? Readers like really two things, and Jess is much more of an expert on mailing email lists than I am, for sure. But from an author's point of view, you want to email once a month at least, minimum, to keep them engaged, and they like to hear about new releases. So what happens if you launch a book and then you don't plan to have another new release for another 2 years? Right? That's a long time to keep that list engaged between books.
Yeah.
So is it the best time to create an email list at that time? Right? Because the big question is, what do you do with the list? Go ahead, Jess.
So one of the things that, I forget his name, but the CEO from BookFunnel was talking about at 20 Books Vegas was, if you don't have another book coming out, then you need to do more marketing. If you do have another book coming out, you can do less marketing. So if you have one book, is it the time, like some people might be averse to starting their email list, but there is still so much you can do. You just need to put yourself in the reader's head and not do anything super lame or clickbaity. As long as you're adding value, you can build your email list. So if you only have one book, but you have a blog, or you are reviewing other books or giving away something, and you can keep that up, and you also have the energy and the love in doing it, then you can still attract somebody with your email list. For example, this community, I don't have a book, and I have a really good open rate because we have meetups. So people who are interested in meetups will open the emails to see what meetups are happening. So there's other things beyond your books to lead people in and to build community, to build engagement. I've heard of the 3 C's. If you can do coaching, content, or community, how can you incorporate any of those into your fiction or your nonfiction? So my long story short was a smaller backlist means more marketing, and less marketing means you should have a bigger backlist. Done.
I guess my question for Denis is, you mentioned earlier, you talked about some New York Times bestsellers and the huge budgets. Okay, we're all pretty well, most of us are independents, 1, 2, maybe no books out yet, maybe 1 or 2. What do you think is a reasonable budget to spend to promote your new book? And does it vary with genre?
Good question.
Good question, Don.
Good question, Don. That's a good question. What is the limit on your credit card? No, I'm just kidding. No. It really, really depends on your goals. Like there is no one answer. They're really like every coaching client that I have, we do it slightly different. Some we do Amazon ads and Facebook ads. Some we just do ads. Sometimes we just do free book promotions. Sometimes we do reduced price promotions. Sometimes we just do Amazon ads with an upsell to coaching and all that type of thing to increase the value per reader. So it really depends. Yeah, then how soon is your next book coming out? Well, let's go through this, Don, a little bit, me and you. What genre do you write in?
I'm just launching at the beginning of February my creative nonfiction book about World War II D-Day.
Right up my alley.
And on February 19th is a day in Winnipeg called If Day. It was a day that they had a mock invasion of Winnipeg in 1942, and I'm trying to coordinate the opening or the launch with the If Day in Winnipeg, which is the 80th anniversary. So I've got some things I'm working on, but still, the limit of my credit card isn't the problem. It's how quickly my wife will leave if I take it that high.
For sure. Are you in Are you Canadian?
Yep, Edmonton.
Yeah, nice. You follow the Oilers. Anyways, I don't want to talk about it.
Don't talk about them.
I don't want to talk about it. It's my favorite team, and I don't want to talk about it. Okay.
I'd be happy to call you separately on this. It was just the biggest question is budget. I'm sure none of us have $10,000 laying around to invest in advertising, and so trying to find a budget that makes sense to get a return on our books. Like if our book is costing us $8 or $9 and we're selling it for $24.95, and we're spending $5 a book to advertise it, there's got to be a return on investment. Not that any of us are doing it to get rich by any stretch of the imagination, are we?
Yeah. So, yeah, in terms of, so what I'm getting at is, were you in the military, Don?
More or less. I was in
Okay.
the auxiliary and in the auxiliary police. So
On the reserves?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was in the military before too. 10 years in the Air Force. So that bugs me, Judy, with Craig. We'll just call his name Craig.
Yeah.
And he posts all his pictures of him in the military. It just makes me cringe so much. Anyways, I don't want to talk about that anymore. Anyways, Don. Yeah. So what we look at is two stats. Okay. We look at our, and again, I take this from a very business point of view. Okay. Because whether or not your intention is to make money or not from it, you need to know at least how much runway you have. Okay. Using an analogy from the Air Force, right? You need to know how much runway you have. So how much would if I'm not making money from a book, how much am I losing each book? And is there something in the future, whether that be coaching or another book or something like that, where I can get a return from that? Okay. Because what a lot of people think of is, think of, oh, I make $8 a book. Okay. So if I sell 1,000 books, I will make $8,000. Sweet. Like, man, maybe I'll retire next month. Right. But nobody ever considers, I see some nodding heads here. So must be some that consider the cost per new reader. Okay. How much does it cost to obtain that new reader? And that's a very, very important stat. Now, there's costs in terms of actual money, and then there's costs in terms of actual time as well. So, for example, price promotions would be a better cost of time, because it doesn't take you any sort of time. It takes maybe 10 minutes to set up, but it's not always cost efficient. Now, in terms of yours, Don, I would focus, if I was working with you, I would focus on Amazon ads for that type of book. Now, Amazon ads is a slow burn, generally. Now you can go there with their bidding $2 a click, and make it quick, but it'll be very, very unprofitable. So keeping in mind our cost per new reader and our, see, say, Don, if you had 5 books, right, and you had an upsell where you took them, I don't know, on a virtual tour or something like that. I don't know, right? You could afford a lot more. You can afford a much greater reach because you know that your average value per reader is, let's say, 10% of them are going to take this tour that costs $1,000, right? So you have a lot more money to work with because you have this big upsell at the end of it, right? So you can afford to reach, to test ads, to do all that type of stuff and get a big reach. Now, if our value per reader is somewhere around $7, we have a medium reach, let's say. So, looking at the classic conversion, as long as your book is set up well in terms of cover and description, and you get those initial reviews during the launch period, you're looking at a conversion of 1 to 10 or 1 to 15 through Amazon ads. So it's like, okay, well, how much can I bid for Amazon ads? And let me know if I'm going too advanced or anything like that, or if I'm going too far off. So you're looking at like maybe 60 cents a bid, right? So then that reduces your reach, because if this was 6 years ago, 60 cents would have gotten you a lot of impressions, a lot of clicks. Now it's becoming more and more competitive. And when I first started in 2017 to now, Amazon ads has gone up 3 times as much because we're competing against other authors. So in terms of budget, going back to your question there,
Denis,
yeah, I was just
What-
about to get, I was pausing for effect, but go ahead.
if you're in your flow state, go for it and I'll ask you after.
No, go ahead.
You should probably answer because I was gonna change the question around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So, Don, what type of budget were you thinking? What was the sort of on the top of your mind?
I haven't budgeted anything particularly, so that's what I'm looking. There's all different kinds of ways of doing it. And in COVID, we are somewhat restricted. We're not going to be doing book signings or conferences particularly, and going to armories and selling copies of the book. In my case, and it's not just for me. I have a distinct audience for my books, but somebody like some of the other people who are writing. And so it's not, I wasn't asking the question just for me. I'll take that up. Maybe I'll give you a call later this week, but it was basically for everybody, that because mine is a unique audience. So it's sort of a question that I'd like you to sort of throw out for, is $1,000 like, are we wasting am I wasting money to say, well, let's set up something and do something with $1,000. What's that going to do for me? Or any of us.
So Denis, just to give you some context, I'd say that 70% of this community are first-time authors, either just published or planning to launch this year. So what would a newbie author with one book and maybe one reader magnet and no other products or services in the near future spend?
Good, well put, Jess.
Thanks.
Yeah, you can get away, like as a bare minimum, just to keep the book alive. You could set up like basic Amazon ads on automatic targeting for like $50 a month. Right. But again, it's not, I don't mean to skirt the answer, but it really depends on like a number of factors, right? Like, what is the book priced at? Yeah, as Don said, what genre is it in? Do the readers tend to be more, is the book in Kindle Unlimited, right? Like, because you generally, unless you're in fantasy or sci-fi, you get paid less per reader when your book is in Kindle Unlimited. But that's the sacrifice you make to potentially get more readers. How soon is your next book coming out, right? Are you building that email list to get that future value per reader? Because I tell you, like across, like you could run a whole bunch of Facebook ads and Amazon ads and price promotions and book funnels and book swaps and newsletter swaps and all that type of thing, right? But they all have their pros and cons. So a average cost per new reader is somewhere between $2 and $10, right? So if your book is priced at $4 and you're earning $3 whatever from it, are you willing to pay $9 a new reader? Maybe. It depends on, how engaged are you with interacting with your list? How soon are your other books coming out? So it's there is no like set answer. $50 would probably be the most set answer, I would say. And you could just do a basic automatic targeting Amazon ad, and you'll sell 1 or 2 books a week. Maybe not $50, maybe $30. And you'll sell 1 or 2 books a week. Yeah. I don't mean for this to discourage you. You don't need $10,000. I don't mean to be like, you need $10,000 to do it, but that's just like people trying to like fast track and being like, have a big ego and money, but going against like Andy Weir, like the big people. So yeah, you don't need that type of stuff.
So Dennis, you mentioned the Amazon ads, but from an author standpoint, if they have a limited marketing budget, where would you recommend they spend it to get the most bang for their buck? Would it be Amazon ads or Facebook ads, or what approach from a marketing standpoint would you recommend?
The best bang for your buck, again, looking at resources in terms of time and money, I could tell you the least bang for your buck is what?
Tell me.
the least bang for your buck, and I hope I don't piss Jess off for this. I'm talking about, so just a disclaimer, just to preface this, I work 98% with fiction authors. Okay, so nonfiction is this whole other thing where you have upsells and coaching and all this affiliate links and all this other type of thing, right? So that's this whole other thing. I deal 98% with fiction authors. Okay, so just to preface this, the least bang for your buck, and hopefully I don't piss Jess off with this, is social media. A couple of reasons is people get caught up on Instagram, and I've seen it lots of times. And I should also preface this because, again, there's no straight answer, is except for in romance.
Yeah. Romance always does it.
Yeah, romance is always like this, its own little thing there. But too many people justify to themselves, and I made a YouTube video on this. Hi, Kimber Gray's cat. Too many people justify to themselves that, oh, I'm on social media, I'm engaging with other people, therefore I must be selling books. I am engaging with people, so I'm on Instagram, I'm posting every day, I am making stories all the time. But you need to ask yourself, like, is this actually, and again, email lists and social media, right? Engagement is much, much higher, and open rate and reach is much, much higher with email list than with social media. So focus more on the email list than the social media, and focus on getting the other book out to increase your lifetime value per reader. So then you can afford more to do with advertising. You can afford more to do Facebook ads at $100 a day, which might seem crazy at this time, but is very, very possible when you have 3, 4, 5 books out, right? And your read through rate, and your value per customer, and your conversions. So once you have the math, selling is all math, right? Again, this is a business, right? It is a lot of creativity to it, but it's either, you want to make a profit, or you want to know just how much runway you have. You need to know the numbers. And so many people just don't know the numbers. And part of those numbers is also how much time you put into it too. So that's why I don't do social media. So going back to the question of like, what is the best bang for your buck? I'm going to give a best non-answer again. Depends on your budget. But Amazon ads is not bad. The only issue with Amazon ads is that there's a steep learning curve. That's the only issue with Amazon ad. Like, it's very, very easy. You can watch a couple of YouTube videos. I don't think I have a YouTube video on this yet, but like you can just create like an automatic targeting ad, but then you can go really deep into it. You can go to keyword targeting, you can go product targeting, you can go category targeting. And when I work with clients, we create one of each because it really differs with each book, which one performs the best and on the goals. So if you have trouble finding your category, you can run category ads and find your CTR and conversions and all that type of thing. So the best bang for your buck, if time isn't so much of a concern and money is, then Amazon ads. If money isn't so much of a concern, but time is, then price promotions and free book promotions. Is that a good answer for you, Mel?
One of the things you said.
Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you.
One of the things that's been brought up a couple of times is having the more books. And I know there's a couple of you out there that have 2 or 3 books, one written, 2 or 3 in the wings, in some cases 3 books. Does this go back to the fact that it would be best to have these 3 or 4 books written, ready to go before you launch the first one, so you can tease the audience with the next one?
That's a good question. Don, you got some good questions. This gets pretty advanced because I might rub people the wrong way but there's
You're Canadian, you can't.
Yeah, I know. No, trust me, I can, Don. It's okay. I'm okay with it. I've made my peace with it. Kindle is becoming more and more commercialized. Okay. So everyone here is up against people not somewhat like me, but looks at the numbers, and there's more and more the commercialization of Kindle. Right? Back when it first started, it was just like, I get a feeling, I don't have any data to back this up, except for the clients that I work with, but I feel like 5, 6, 7 years ago is more for the creative people, and more there's people out there that are just in for the commercialization of it. So I have a couple of clients that have ghostwriters, right? And they're just purely looking at the numbers, right? So we're up against those type of people. Okay. So we need to know at least our baseline numbers. So I could tell you from me, when I launch a series, I get book 1 because I've made so many mistakes. I wasted so much money. I have gotten a ghostwriter to write 4 or 5 books, and then the first book flops hard. And I wasted all this money getting all this ghostwriting and editing and all that type of thing. Because I'm like, well, rapid release. I'm golden, right? Like that's like the true thing to do is rapid release. Rapid release is when you well, your best friend Linda, Craig Martell, wrote a book on rapid release. Or Judy, sorry, Judy.
Yeah.
I was going to say not my best friend, but
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, your best friend Judy wrote a book on rapid release, I think. So contribute to his fund book. Anyways, sorry.
Thank you for seeing my problem.
For sure. So the biggest, because I work through this, is again going back to our value per customer. Now, the biggest drop off that you see, I'm talking about read through rate. Okay, there's a couple of things that affect our value per customer, and I have spreadsheets and all that type of thing that I go through with my clients, and we roadmap, not just next couple of weeks, but the whole next couple of years of where we're going to go based on their goals. But the read through rate between book 1 and book 2 is where you see the biggest drop off.
Hmm.
Okay. Once people get more and more into the story, they're more and more committed to the characters and the story and all that type of stuff. So I now launched what book 1 and 2, and I check the read-through rate between book 1 and 2. If it's well below the targets that I'm looking for, then either I, get some paid beta readers to look at it, but then you're into the whole developmental edit and all that type of thing. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. But in terms of profitability, again, just purely from a commercial point of view, I would do book 1 and 2, push on book 1, and then check the read-through rate between book 1 and 2. Check what percentage of people read book 1 and read book 2. So it's just like within business with repeat customers, right? Because you pay that money to get that customer, right? Same thing with like Tim Hortons or something, which is a coffee chain in here in Canada. Like they run advertising to get a new customer away from Starbucks or Coffee Time or something like that. If that person comes and they taste the coffee and it sucks, they won't come back. But they spent all this money bringing this new customer in, right? So they want to make sure that they have good coffee, which they still don't. But you know what I mean? Alina, yeah, they still don't have good coffee. You know what I mean? You want to make sure you have that good read through rate between book 1 and 2. Does that make sense, Don? Oh, you're on mute.
Don, you're muted. We do have a couple questions
Yeah.
hands up. I
just want to answer that. It was just it was, that question wasn't for me as much as I know that there's a number of you that have 3 books in the wings. So that's what I was concerned. I thought I'd get that question out for everybody else.
Don's a very active listener. He knows everything about everyone here.
Good.
You calling me a busybody?
I'm complimenting you. But I think Kimber has had her hand up forever and ever. So I'd love to give Kimber some time if you'd like to unmute or type in the chat.
Hi.
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 Long-time listener, first-time caller. So I've published 11 books, 5 of them in a series. I offer the first one for free if people sign up for my mailing list. I have had 0 luck with marketing. I have done the landing page. I've done the reader magnet, like you said, sign up for the mailing list, get the first and second book free downloads. I've done Facebook ads. I've done social media. I have a mailing list. I just cannot get off the ground. I think I sell between library loans and Amazon sales, maybe 3 to 5 books a month, if that. Most of my sales are the free book. So advice for somebody who is woefully inadequate in marketing?
Well, the bonus is that, where'd you go, Kimber? Are you gone?
I'm still here. I just muted so you guys wouldn't hear me.
Oh, okay.
clearing my throat.
It keeps like adjusting, like all the people.
Yeah.
Like, can I click and drag someone? No, I can't. Anyways.
I'm getting over COVID, so there's a lot of coughing, so I'm muting it when I'm not talking.
Me
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
COVID buddies.
All good. Yeah, so that's a big question. Let me ask some follow-up questions and then just preface it with, no, you know what, let me ask some follow-up questions. So the first book is for free. So how are you advertising the first book?
Well, originally I did a BookBub. I don't know if you know what that is. It's sort of like a blast that goes out to readers. I got something like
BookBub ads or the featured deal?
The feature deal. I actually paid
Good.
for it, and
Yep.
I got several hundred downloads, and that lasted for, I don't know, a month or 2, and then it petered down. I go to conventions and I give out business cards that tell them, hey, go to my website, download my free book. And I always get a spike after that. I think I've gotten over 1,000 downloads of the free book. Rocky, freaking cat. Sorry.
So out of the 1,000 downloads, how many, what's the book 2 priced at?
I Well, heck, I think I should know that off the top of my head, and I don't. I think
It's okay.
it is, the Kindle book is, I wanted to say that they're $4.99 or $5.99, something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay. All right.
The physical copy of the book, I believe, is 13.
The paperback.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Is it in Kindle Unlimited?
it's not in KU. I'm thinking about republishing them with some additional private content so I can publish them in KU too. But right now they're just standard Kindle market. Actually, they're everywhere because I have them drafted digital. I publish to Kobo and Hoopla and all that good stuff. Apple, Barnes and Noble.
Yeah. So, two things,
Mhm.
Amber. So first of all, it's
Kimber.
very common. Sorry,
Kimber.
what did I call you, Amber?
Yes.
I think I have an amber beer in front of me, so I think that might be what I'm looking at.
I've been called worse things.
Okay, Kimber. I apologize because everyone gets my name wrong, so I apologize, Kimber. So a couple of things. So, a free book. So a free book can work well. I have found it to work well under temporary conditions. So people, have you ever heard of the phrase, and it's very common in sales, but have you ever heard the phrase, people make buying decisions with emotion and justify with logic?
Yeah, that's 90% of my buying.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we make our buying decisions mostly off of emotion. So how can we show emotion, right? How can we get the reader to have an emotional connection, right? And the number one way is through the book description or the book blurb. That's really all we have. And then the top 10%, then there's secondary things in terms of, there's reviews. That's more justification. Then there's the cover. Really, the cover is just setting expectations for people to click on it. So the price, I never like to compete on price. With my coaching, I don't compete on price. Competing on price as a business is a losing strategy. You will lose in the end. So
Okay, I don't understand what that means.
So I'm going back to your free book.
Okay.
Okay. So with BookBubs, with whatever else you do you value, say you got a book for free versus on the extreme, a book for $9.99? Which book are you more likely to read all the way through?
Probably the one I was willing to spend money on.
Yeah. So you're going to be getting, with free books, a lot of downloads, but there's a lot of people that just like hoard free downloads, right? They'll
might be one of
download
them.
it. Yeah, exactly. So they'll download it and they'll get to it whenever, right? As opposed to you run a targeted advertising campaign. You understand your value per reader. You understand how much you're able to run advertising for. You price the book at, I don't know, $2.99, $3.99, even $4.99, right? You make sure you have a good cover and make sure you have a solid blurb that creates the emotional connection, because people aren't buying the book. They're buying the experience and the feelings and the emotions that they're going to get from the book, from reading the book. So once you have that set, you're going to see a much, much stronger read-through rate. Okay, so the read-through rate from a free book to a paid book is somewhere between 3 and 6% on a good day. Okay, the read-through rate from a full price book, when I say full price, I'm talking $2.99 or above, is somewhere between 50 and 70%. Let's wait till you cough the COVID out. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll get. Yeah, so the read-through rate from a full price book, $2.99 and above, max $9.99, is somewhere between 50 and 70%. So I am becoming, from my experience over the years, and this is the issue with releasing a nonfiction book, I have a nonfiction book about marketing fiction books, is that over time your opinions change and your experiences change and the markets change. So, what I wrote in that nonfiction book, is not necessarily, I should probably take it down. So I'm becoming less and less bullish with free book promotions simply because of the read-through rate.
So what incentive can you offer for a reader magnet if you're not giving away a complimentary book? You started to answer earlier, and I'm not sure if you ever got to it.
Yeah, I probably didn't. So the incentive that just one more thing I wanted to point out to you, Kimber, as well.
Mhm.
It's also you might not do, or I should say, have you been tracking your read-through rate, i.e. how many people download book one versus how many people buy book two?
I kind of obsessively follow my feeds, and whenever I see somebody purchase book two, I go through and try and figure out if they recently downloaded book one, and then I watch to see if they get book three.
Yeah, but do you know like the percentage, like how many people?
It's very low.
Very
I'd
low.
say for every 100 downloads of book one, I get one download of book two. But
Okay.
almost everybody who downloads book two also gets three.
Yeah, and that's very, very common. Once they're further in the series, you see higher read-through rate, even as high as 80-90%.
Yeah, and my
Yeah.
best-selling book isn't even the one in the free series. It's an anthology, a science fiction fantasy anthology about time travel that I wrote with 40-something authors. That's my bestseller, and it sells the best through library borrows, actually.
Okay, cool.
And I don't even advertise that one.
Nice. So it's gone organic. It's the best kind. Yeah. So the other question was, okay, how do you get, can you say that question again?
You mentioned reader magnets, and you want to incentivize people to. Nobody wants to sign up for mailing lists unless there's something there. I can
Right.
tell you, I don't open an email I get from mailing lists unless I know from skimming the subject line if there's content I'm even interested in. But what do you incentivize people to sign up for your mailing list if you're not offering them a free book or something like that?
Yeah. So I don't want to jump on or step on Jess's toes too much, but the way I explain it is you have a clean list and a dirty list. Okay. So a clean list, let me break down what a clean list is they've read your book one, you have an extended epilogue, or you have a character side story, then they at the back of book one, then they like your book, so you know that they read your book all the way through. They go and sign up to your mailing list to get this incentive.
Mm.
Okay, that is a clean list. You know that person A, read your work all the way through, and B, you would assume that they like your work.
Mhm.
Right? So you have a clean list. Okay, that's like someone who likes your work.
Mhm.
Okay, a more dirty list would be like now I'm not bashing this entirely because I think it does have a place, but like newsletter swaps, or giving away the like book funnel incentives and promotions and stuff like that, where you give away the first 10% like in exchange for their email, because you're getting their email before they even read your work, so you don't know if they like your work or not. They might have given up their email and been like, man, Kimber's work is crap. I'm not saying it is, but just as an idea, right? Like Kimber's work is crap. But you're like, oh wow, like I got this email list. Like I got this email list of 6,000 people, right?
That's
But let's say
generous.
half of them think your work is crap, but you don't know, right? So then you're paying more for whatever email service provider you're using. You might use it as this is a little bit more advanced, but I was actually speaking with an author who's having this issue right now, is you could use it as a lookalike custom audience for Facebook ads. But it's kind of dirty because again, you don't know if all these people are just freebie seekers.
Denis, I'm going to cut you off for a minute just so
Sure.
that people know it's 9 p.m. In case you want to dip out, you can just wave or do a French exit. And I'm going to post some of Denis' contact info in the chat to let you know where to reach him. Denis, it is 9 o'clock, and if you have to head out as well, then you're free. But if you'd like to stick around, it's like a few more questions.
Yeah,
then
I
we
feel
can
like I
all
haven't
stick around
got.
too. Okay,
Yeah,
so
if people are willing
Denis
to stick
sticking
around, I'll stick
around.
around for a couple minutes.
If anyone else needs to go, I just wanted to let you know it's okay. It's 9 o'clock, and we're about to go overtime.
And nobody in Canada is going anywhere because there's anywhere between 20 and 30 inches of snow everywhere in eastern Canada.
Yeah.
So just sit back, get a warm drink, and relax.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty
Exactly.
crazy up here.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
I forget where I was at, but
Bye, everyone. I do have to leave for work, so
Bye,
have a good
Linda.
night,
We'll see you
everybody.
next time.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, and
See,
for
I'll just
she's
leave it at.
gone.
I'll just leave it at there, Kimber, in terms of the dirty and the clean list. Yeah,
Okay.
it all depends on like the quality of the list as well, and how well you engage with them.
Yeah, I'm not very good at that. I'll work on it.
Yeah, I know Jess is probably pretty good at that, but in terms of engagement, the one tip that I can give is people are attracted to other people, right? So don't be afraid to be personal. Don't be so robotic. I'm not saying you're robotic, but when Amazon sends you an email, you're just like this has no human behind it,
No
right?
soul.
No, that's a good thing. No soul, right? Put some soul behind it, right? People are attracted to people.
Okay.
So don't be afraid to get crazy with it. Not crazy, but like the most engaging email list I have is there was one author. You don't have to go this far, but there's one author in Egypt that I was coaching, and he just said F it. I don't know if you guys broke the swear barrier here or not, but so I'll just say F it. He just said F it. He's like, I'm just going to email my list and tell them about some of the struggles that I have living in Egypt. And he was a psychiatrist. Anyways, he was one of those. And he was saying that, he had to take time off work and there's no social service programs there and blah, blah, blah. That is by far his most engaged email. So I'm not saying that you have to completely open up and tell them your deepest, darkest secrets, but get personal with it. Talk about your likes and dislikes, right? Could be books. I have another author who speaks in the romance, or who writes in the romance, and she lives out in the country. So she talks about her chickens, right? So just be like personable about it. People are attracted to other people. So that would be, throw a personal picture in there that you feel
I'll
comfortable
definitely try
with.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about Alina? Would you like to unmute?
Hello.
Hey.
The question I had, so I'm launching my first book in February, and I'm reading a lot about how to launch, different advice. I read a lot about the ARC readers and launch team, but usually there's nothing specific about what those people are supposed to be doing for you. I thought maybe I'll set a goal for myself to get 50 reviews soon after I launch and ask people to get my book early and give the reviews. And I'm just kind of wondering, is that a good strategy? Is that something you want to shoot for? Maybe give out this, first book, but still give out free ebooks to get more reviews initially.
Yeah, that's a good question. The launch strategy. I saw the poll there, and I saw the launch strategy was actually number one. So I'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So getting those initial reviews is going to be the most important aspect because it gives you social proof. right? No, ain't nobody want to buy a book with no reviews, right? So if you start advertising with 1, maybe 2 reviews, your conversions are going to be very, very low, and your cost per new reader is going to be very, very high. Now, it generally is high because even if your book has 20 reviews versus a book that has 300 reviews, at first your cost per new reader is going to be higher, is more on the higher end, but it's all about making the investment and thinking about the long term. Going back to your question there, in terms of ARC readers, yeah. So when I work with my clients, our goal is 5 to 10 reviews in the first 2 weeks. And
not 5 to 10, not 50. Is 50 too much?
Well, it's not too much. If you can get 50, then do go for it, for sure.
But I mean, can most people reach that?
It depends on your audience. It really depends on your audience. There's a lot of things that, unfortunately, Amazon is its own thing, right? And like, people that you might have lined up haven't spent that requires $50 to leave the review, and they didn't know about that, right? In turn, then they can leave a review on Goodreads, or you can use it in editorial reviews, but it doesn't show up as an actual rating. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of like funky things. So Amazon's policy on reviews is that they don't want incentivized reviews, which is super, super gray, right? What is an incentivized review? Is a family and friend an incentivized review? Sometimes, one thing I can tell you is that I had one client come up to me and say, not come up to me, virtually come up to me, and say, oh, I was going to have a launch party. I was going to invite everyone over to my place, and they could bring their laptops, hook up to the Wi-Fi, and all leave reviews. Don't do that. Okay. Because one way from experience is that Amazon judges an incentivized review is that the review is coming from the same IP address. So in 2017, when I launched my first book, my girlfriend at the time was like, oh yeah, I create this like beautiful review for you. It's like 1,000 words, blah, 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 this type of stuff. She posted it, denied, right? Because we're living together, right? We're living in sin together. But yeah, so IP addresses is one thing. How do they know? I don't know. So very commonly, even if you have 50 people who say, oh yeah, Alina, is that how you pronounce your name? Alina?
Yes, Alina, yeah.
Alina. Yeah, Alina, I support you 100%. I'm going to read the book. I will read the book, and I will leave you a review. Expect about 30% of the people to follow through. Okay. And I tell people this because like it ruins a lot of relationships with this. Okay. Like, you don't support me. I worked so hard. You know how important this is for me. It's just a matter of fact. People are busy. 30%.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's 70%. If we had 50 people lined up, there's 70% just right off the top. Okay. There's other ways that you can reach out. The best place, the two best places that I recommend is Book Sirens, but you have to apply to that. That means you have to have a good cover and a good blurb going in. Okay. You also have to think about how long does it take for somebody to read the book, right? So if it's a fantasy, 170,000 words, it's going to take people longer versus a novella type of thing. And then the other one is VRO, voracious readers only. So those are the two better ones. There's Booksprout as well, but I haven't really seen much success with that. And there's hidden gems if you're so lucky to have like bought a slot, 8 months ago for ARC readers. So those are a couple of the websites that I would recommend. I forget your initial question, but I think we're something to do with the reviews.
Reviews and basically how to launch. What should you ask of your launch team? Yeah, kind of things like that.
Yeah, leave those initial reviews.
Mhm.
And they can even do creative things like posting it on their social media.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you mentioned Book Sirens. I believe that's a paid review site, right? And I don't know, but I haven't heard of Vero before.
It is paid, but it stays within Amazon's terms of service. You're paying to use the platform. The reviewers aren't actually getting paid.
Yes.
You're just paying for the
Understood.
access to the platform.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Shall we move on to Elvina?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
So last year at this time, I received my first published book. I'm kind of different from everybody. I decided not to go to Amazon for my first book. So I sold everything by myself and I did very well. I sold way over, I don't know, 1,000 books in a couple months. But my question was, when I introduced a second book, and by the way, it's all nonfiction anthologies. When I introduced the second book, which actually went to bestseller, the first book sales kind of slowed down. And in November of the last year, I just published the last book. I haven't received it due to COVID and all that stuff, but I was just wondering, like, is there anything I'm supposed to do differently with my marketing? Because I noticed from book one to book two, book one is still selling. It's still a very good seller and it's made pretty much all the money. Book two, even though it went to bestseller, it's that whole Amazon thing with the free book and all that stuff. It didn't sell as good to me. And so now introducing that third book, which is a follow-up to my first book, I just want to make sure like I'm not bombarding my customers too much, or so that it will sell equally or go over the first book in terms of the launch. So I don't know if you have any tips or anything. And I sell my books at $20 Canadian each. So I don't sell, I don't reduce the rate for my books. My price is my price, and I don't have a problem. Like so far, I haven't had a problem because I don't have an ebook to those books. So
Are you
if you
Canadian?
have any advice. Pardon?
Are you Canadian?
I'm Canadian. I'm from Montreal. Yes.
Oh yeah. Montreal, nice.
Mhm.
I went there for bagels a couple months ago.
And
I'm
they're
in
so
Ottawa.
good. Super.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
bagels were
So,
good.
yeah.
So yeah, there's really a lot to unpack there. I'm not sure I copied it all. So you said book one, you sold it on your own. Is book one on Amazon now?
No. So I've
No.
never, like, I didn't go to Amazon for my first or the third book. So the books I've done myself, like I'm the lead author in the anthology, I use it from my website. I sell it from my website and I sell it directly to people. And I use
Okay.
social media. My
then-
second book, I belonged to someone else's anthology. That became bestseller because we, launched it at $1.99 and all that stuff. And I don't find that one sold as much, even though that's the one that has the claim to fame. So,
I mean, that one's a tough one. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I think you're thinking about like read through rate between book one and book two. Is that right?
yes. Yeah. So, like the same customer didn't seem as attracted to book number two as
Yeah.
book number one. I don't know if it's because they had to go to an external source like Amazon to go get it, but I even sell it on my website, but I don't know if it's because so many people bought the free or the discounted copy at $1.99 that they didn't need to purchase the book at regular price. So,
Well,
or is it my marketing that it's overwhelming them because I've had 3 books launched in a year? Like, I don't know what it is, but the second one wasn't good. So I'm trying to recorrect for the third one because I don't have it physically in my hands, even though it's published. So I want to recorrect for the marketing of the third.
Yeah, that's sort of a tough one, especially with anthologies as well. That's like a whole other beast. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not able to. I don't want to like BS my way through an answer to you.
Okay.
I just don't know. It would be like, yeah, I just don't know. That's a whole other beast. Because if it was a fiction book, then I'd be like, oh, what was the cliffhanger, and where were the sources of
Mhm.
new readers coming from as well, and what was the book one priced at? So that's what I would look at in terms of that. Now, I'm assuming especially if you're delivering um the book one, I'm assuming you have their contact information, email address, and all that sort of stuff, eh?
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
have
they're
a funnel
aware.
for my books. I have a landing page and it funnels. And then they get newsletters and everything's working. Like they're still engaged. They contact me through social media. So the first book is still selling, not as much, but as I said, I don't know if it was confusion by introducing a second book or a third book or I'm not sure.
Yeah, the fact that it's an anthology, I don't know, it just adds a whole other. I would have to you know, really sit down for like 15, 20 minutes and look at the books and everything like that. I'm unfortunately not able to give you a great answer. Yeah.
Okay. Can I contact you privately?
Yeah. Yeah. Hello
Perfect.
at weekendpublisher.com.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Who is up next?
Yeah, it's me.
Akin, what's up?
Hi, everyone. Okay.
Hi.
So my question is, in terms of promotion, I mean, the quality of your work, the quality of your story. So to what extent does it play in driving the success of your book vis-a-vis promotion? How does the quality of your story affect the book promotion? Let's say fiction.
Yeah. What genre are you in, Akin?
Fiction,
No, but what
like
genre?
thriller, suspense type.
Nice. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. The quality, what I tell people is one of the best things you could do is write good books fast. And again, this is from a commercial point of view. So it might not be for everybody, but the key is write good books fast, right? So how do you do that? And that's why I brought on see you, Keith. That's why I brought on a writing coach onto my team, or I'm testing a writing coach right now to help people with their outlines and an accountability group I'm starting as well to keep people accountable. Because a lot of my clients, a lot of their goals are around financial aspects. So we go through exercises together and they realize, okay, I need more books. I need more assets to sell people. So like I said before there, the read-through rate between book one and book two is very, very important because that's where we see the biggest drop off. So the more and more people that are engaged with your story and with your characters, the more and more people are going to sign up to your email list. The more people are going to sign up, buy book two, buy book three, follow you, do whatever you want to do with that. So quality is not everything, because certainly, having a quality book is not an automatic, does not automatically mean success. Right. So there was one guy, Ryan Levesque, who I look up to. And he has a saying, better to be done than perfect, or something like that. So what a lot of people think is like, okay, I need a developmental editor, I need a copy editor, I need 15 proofreaders, and I don't have to have a single grammatical error or spelling error in my book. Eventually it becomes diminishing returns, right? And with certain genres, the readers are more harsh. So historical fiction, I knew it going in, historical fiction takes longer to write. because and Judy is nodding in agreement there. And so when I came with my World War II historical fiction, I got a co-author who knew a lot about World War II. But still, there was a review saying someone saying, well, you know what, the rank was not there. It wasn't on the shoulder, it was on the arm, it was blah blah blah. Like, oh, come on, man, like, give me a break here. So certain things are going to be literary fiction, right, is also something that people are going to be very, very picky with. Romance, people are not going to be very picky with romance. They're just like looking for, well, depends on what subgenre of romance, but people are looking for something they're looking for, right? As long as it's not so much that it takes them out of the story. But it depends on what genre you're in, and again, the law of diminishing returns, right? And also, you can launch a book and you can always take it down and fix it up if it doesn't work, right? It's not just one shot thing. You can make lots of mistakes, you can fail, you can just move forward, take action and move forward.
So for a first time writer, what's like biggest impediment?
What is the what, sorry?
First time publisher, what is like the biggest impediment, obstacle?
Biggest obstacle, yeah. That's at the beginning, it's the toughest. It's the toughest with your first book, for sure, because you're taking that big boulder and you're trying to push it uphill. Eventually you reach that tipping point where you get over the hill and it just rolls down. That takes a couple of books. So at first it's by far the most difficult, because you're confused. Like, even uploading the book to Amazon, there's things that you run into and you're like, what the hell is this? Expanded distribution, what the hell is that? Right? Like, how do I get an ISBN? It's just a blur of confusion, right? You're trying to figure everything out. The first book is the most difficult. The biggest impediment would be, that's a tough question. The biggest mistake that I find people make is just not looking at it as a business and not understanding what their long-term goals are. I would say that is probably the biggest impediment that I work with. I talk with more people than I work with, obviously, because not everybody that I speak with works with me, because we're not a good fit, or I can't help them, or whatever reason, right? So I talk with a lot of people, and just not knowing, really what their goal is. FWIW, Don, yeah. What their goal is and what the math is. Yeah, and understanding it actually costs to get it costs us money to get a new reader. Yeah.
I think.
You're welcome.
Okay, why don't we take one last question from Miss Angie, our last speaker.
Hey everybody. Actually, it's even less of a question as just a comment. I've been silent most of the call, but just wanted to say I got a ton out of it. Denis, really great to listen to all of your information and input and everybody's questions. And I did, if it's okay, I'd love to comment briefly on Alina, what she said, and Denis' suggestions. Is that all right? Because I'm just a little bit ahead of Alina, I think, in that process. Yeah, go ahead, Denis.
Yeah, it depends on the comment if it's favorable for me or not, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, of course.
Go ahead on the
I
comment.
just wanted to share a little bit of my own experience going along with the suggestions that you had with Book Sirens and the comments you made about getting people to leave a review, basically just corroborating what you said. And I think, a few months back, I was where Alina is, and I was incredibly optimistic because I'm a fairly sociable person. I maintain a lot of connections with people, both on and off social media. And so I had this idea that I'm going to publish my book. I've spoken to so many people about it, and all my friends are going to rally around. They're going to read the book. They're going to leave reviews. It's just going to take off. And I am finding a few months in that it's incredibly challenging to get people to leave reviews. First of all, of course, getting them to read it. They're busy, but even then, those who do read it, then there are some who reach out to me personally and tell me how much they love the book. and getting them to write the review is surprisingly challenging. So I think, you know, what you said just helps to manage expectations. And, you know, again, not to be a downer, but it's not as easy as it seems. I'm now up to 15 reviews on Amazon, a little bit over 2 months in. And also just wanted to give feedback to Book Sirens, which I recently started using. I'm having a good experience with them. I used NetGalley before, and I used NetGalley for 2 months. I paid $45 a month for it to be on it through a co-op. I got a handful of reviews and some of my harshest reviews that I've gotten. So I think something to keep in mind is if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, these people will review differently than your friends and family or organic readers. I think it's a little bit of a sport maybe to them, to the way they leave book reviews. So far on Book Sirens, I think I've received 3 or 4 reviews, and on Book Sirens, there's a $10 upfront sign-up fee and then $2 per download. So if I only get a handful of reviews, I pay less than through NetGalley. So for me, that's working out well. And I've gotten some decent reviews on there. So yeah, just wanted to chime in on that and basically corroborate what you're saying, Denis. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you agree with me, then I don't mind comments. I'm just kidding. You can.
Of course, I've never
disagree with me.
questioned you.
No, you can disagree with me. I'm just kidding.
Unless you say my book is shit, then we'll have to disagree.
I don't know your book, but your meditation's good, so it's all I know.
Oh,
but,
good.
I'd like to say something too, if that's all right.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
My first book, Quietus, which is out of print now, I had a really big following of personal friends and family, and none of them reviewed it. The only reviews I got were unsolicited. So I don't want to discourage necessarily not telling people, hey, review my book, but giving out a bunch of ARCs and expecting your friends and family to review it didn't work out for me. And I don't know very many people that it does. Generally, if they're going to review it, it's going to be somebody you don't have a strong connection with. So feel free, everybody you hand your book to, hey, if you like it, go on Amazon, help me out, leave a review. With less pressure, they're actually more likely to do it. It's crazy.
Yeah, and there's a couple of tips that you can do to increase that percentage. One is the ARC readers, and if your book isn't published, ask them to send you a review of it as soon as they finish the book. So then when your book is launched, you can email them and say, this is what you said about it. This is a link. All I need you to do is copy and paste. Right. So right when they're finished it, and just say, hey, you know what? You don't need a full book report on it. 1 or 2 sentences is all I need. Say in your own words, hey, I really liked it, and I thought that the main character Harry was kind of a badass, and blah blah blah. Just use your own words. It doesn't have to be like this big complicated thing that has to be super spelling mistakes. I don't care. It makes it more authentic, right? So send me that review as soon as you finish the book. Send me the review, and then when the book is launched and ready to be reviewed, I will send that review back to you with the link to the book. Another thing is that there is a, and let me find it for you. I'll put it in the chat. There is a very, very, it's a direct link to Amazon book review. So leaving a review is not like super easy, because you have to like scroll down, find that button that says leave a customer review. It's not in that like classic Amazon orange. It's like the same color as the background. It's white on white. So people who are not tech savvy will have some difficulty. So you want to reduce as much friction as possible. So to do that, you could leave a review, and this is for Amazon.com. You can change it for their specific marketplace to Amazon.com, Amazon.co.uk. So here is the link there. After it says ASIN equals, that's where you put your ASIN. Okay, so I put it in the chat there so you can copy and paste it. So that is the link that you can send to people. So again, that it's really messy. That's why I copy and paste it, because there's like a and sign. And like, who puts and? Like, nobody remembers and signs. Like, it's .com or whatever, right? Like, so you put that in, you put your ASIN. So your book has to be published, right? You have to have assigned to ASIN to have this link. You send that link to people, and it leaves them to, well, who has a book here that's published that we can test this out with? Does anyone have their?
Yeah, you can go with mine. It's Awakening Hearts, Angie K. Love.
Do you have your ASIN memorized?
Oh, I don't.
Oh, Angie, I'm just kidding.
Pull it up on my computer.
I'm just kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time. So yeah, with Angie's book here, and let me share my screen.
ISBN instead.
So if Angie said, hey, can you leave me a review? You like the book? You would have to give instructions. Okay, now scroll down and then look for this button here. Again, it's white on white, right? So if people are older or whatever, they have a hard time finding this. Okay, and we want to reduce as much friction as possible. Here, we're going to take the ASIN. I'm going to copy that. I am going to create that link there. So it looks like this. Okay, so I'm going to copy, and I am going to, hopefully it doesn't mess up. And I'm going to, come on, paste that in there. So boom, it leads me right to create a review for her book. So there's no like scrolling down and look for this button. Boom, I can select, 1 star, 5 star, or something wherever in between, add the headline. I can add a photo. I can add a written review. Boom, it reduces that friction.
Awesome.
Okay. So you can email them with that link with their review and just say, look, man, it takes you like 60 seconds. And it means the world to me.
That's awesome. I also had someone suggest recently, instead of asking for a review, to ask for a star rating and a comment, because it's less intimidating.
That's good. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
A
So I started
comment.
playing with that, because people do get intimidated. I just had a new reader. She finished reading my book, wrote me all about how much she enjoyed it. And then when I asked her to leave a review, she said, well, I read all these other reviews and they're all like professional sounding. And I was like,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. As long as it comes from the heart, it can be 2-3 sentences,
Yeah, because on Amazon, when you scroll down, it's the most helpful review that's always at the top. And that is like the 1,000-word essay with photos and a video. I'm talking about like for like physical products mostly too. But like, yeah, they're helpful, but like, man, they're intimidating. You're like, I ain't writing a review like that. I ain't got time for that.
Thanks a lot, because I do have one review that is at the top for one book. I don't usually write that much though.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I read so much that I don't have time to write reviews for every single book I read. Because when I'm on a reading jag, I read like one book a day.
Yeah. And then
You did that, Dennis, for the AISN number. You can do the same thing for the ISBN number, right?
I don't
Maybe?
think so. You'd have to replace the ASIN with ISBN and see
Yeah,
if it
but
works.
so on the like, I just looked at my book and there is a spot, my old book, and you can review this product, share your thoughts with others. It's got you put the ISBN number, I guess, in at this instead of the AISN number.
I'm not sure. I've never tried it, but certainly test it out.
Okay.
Like, is just your paperback available?
No, it's on, but I don't think anybody ever bought it off of ebook.
Oh, well, you can say in the ASIN still, because the reviews will be for the ebook and for the paperback.
Okay.
So, yeah, you might as well just send the ASIN too. Yeah, because it's going to be on the same page.
Okay.
As long as the books are linked. It's on the same sales page. Yeah. Any other questions, or are we out of time?
I think I'm gonna bail.
John's gonna
Go
bail.
ahead.
Alrighty.
Thank
Well,
you for joining us, Dennis.
You're
This
welcome.
was super helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Denny,
so much
for
for your
joining us.
And thanks
Super
for coming
helpful.
out, even though you weren't feeling well, Jess. Appreciate it. Thanks for spending the time with us.
Always, except for last week. And Denis, yes, thank you again. You're welcome back anytime. And everyone else, we have next week, we don't have any speakers. We'll just go back to our breakout rooms, and we'll finally talk about launch strategy. And I forget the two other things we were planning on talking about. And also this Thursday at 3 p.m., we have the Story Origins founder and developer joining us for a Q&A as well. I'm going to drop a link to a talk he did with Mark Dawson on YouTube, so you can see what functionality they have. But he's a pretty powerful developer, and he's making an all-in-one platform that is mimicking BookFunnel as well as a whole bunch of other tools. So I'd argue it's superior to BookFunnel at this point, but it's an application where you can do review copies, beta copies, reader magnets, even audio promo codes. I know BookFunnel's beta testing that right now, but Story Origins, you can actually do that, and they have direct download links, all the same stuff as BookFunnels or Prolific Works, the other competitors. But that's Thursday, 3 p.m. And then after that, we just got another pub night coming on Monday. So that's my little spiel for the week. And it was very nice to see everybody. I feel like it's been so long. For some reason, 1 week goes by and it feels like a long time when I don't see everybody at Monday night sessions. It's always lovely to see everybody. I see some new faces like Amanda. Hopefully you come back next week and we can get to know you a little bit better. Because I've been sick, I've been vegging out a lot. And this is totally relevant, but I've been looking up a lot of how to rainbow tie-dye your hair. So you've done a good job. I don't know if you did it yourself, but it's impressive. Okay, but now I'm totally sidetracking the conversation.
See you later, everyone. Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
so
Thanks
much.
again, Denis.
Good night.
Good night,
Thanks, Denis.
everybody. Bye.
Thank you, Denny, for your time and your expertise, and thank you everybody for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Kimber. Hopefully we see you on Monday, next Monday.